have every right to dream heroic dreams. Why shouldn't we believe that? We are Americans.
I would remind you that extremism in the defense of liberty is no vice.
I am the champion of the Constitution.
We have allowed our nation to be overtaxed and overregulated and overrun by bureaucrats. The founders would be ashamed of us for what we're putting up with.
This is the Fabian Calvo program. The call-in number is 866-826-1340 if you care to be part of the show, 866-826-1340. All right, now we have a guest that many of you have heard before. He is behind the Trends Journal. Since 1980, he's been forecasting worldwide events. He's been spot on. I mean, he's been on CNN, Fox News. It's almost spooky how right on he is with his predictions, if you will. We have Gerald Celente joining us. Gerald, are you with us?
I'm with you.
Gerald, thank you so much for being part of the program. I really appreciate it. Okay, so, Gerald, where do we start? We have the Tea Party. They just won their 8th election here. How do you feel this is going to play out in 2012 as the establishment, whether it's Republicans or Democrats, see they're losing power? They're not just going to sit on the sidelines and watch as the American people literally take back their country and their government.
Oh, you really hit it on the head. As they're losing control, they're going to exert more control. And it becomes more and more difficult for independents, for example, to get on ballots anywhere. There is a real desire among people for a new third party. And the Tea Party is just the beginning of it. However, it's been and I'm not a Monday morning quarterback on this. You know, I turn on the TV and I watch all these pundits going babbling on and on. You go back to our Trends Journal, 2007. 2007, the top trends for that year were tax protests. And we call it the coalition of the cash-strapped. This is when Bush was president. This has been building a long time. And now it's becoming like it's, you know, all of a sudden it just sprouted out of nowhere and a certain group is taking it over. But it's much larger than that. The people you look at the numbers. 17% of the people have no faith in Congress or Washington. You know, those are the 17% that probably work for Washington that have any support for them.
Yeah.
So this is just the beginning. We're going to see, we believe, a major third-party movement by 2012 that'll be even larger than the Tea Party movement.
Yeah, that sounds great. Gerald, I have you for a limited time, so I want to get into the economy. Obviously, the stimulus package has failed and the trillions of dollars they've poured into the economy. One thing that really no one's talking about, you mentioned it in your recent Trends Journal, which is about the FDIC and the number of bank failures. We have $1 trillion of adjustable rate mortgages that are about to adjust in 2010, another $1.5 trillion of commercial loans. How's the FDIC going to be able to cover all these bank failures, and how does that play out?
They're not going to. And what they keep doing is they keep printing this digital money not worth the paper it's not printed on. And they come up with all these kind of, you know, funny names for it to make it seem as though it's more than that. And that's why you're looking at current events form future trends. What's gold selling at now? As we speak, $1,276 an ounce, because people around the world know the game, whether it's China, Europe, Japan, South Korea, the UK, Australia. The only way they're keeping this going is by dumping more of this useless money into the system. Gold doesn't lie. Gold has a value to it that's centuries old, because when all else fails, gold is there. That's why you're seeing gold prices go up. The government could lie, the politicians could lie, but gold doesn't lie. It has no heart, it has no emotions, it has only a shine to it that's been an allure when all else fails, whether it's buying your freedom during wars or holding on to something of value, when all that General Motors and Lehman Brothers and Merrill Lynch mob stock is worth nothing, as they told us these were legacy stocks, gold continues to shine.
Yeah, I mean, and let me tell my audience again, we're talking with Gerald Celente. He is from the Trends Research Institute. Gerald, they're trying to pundits that push the stocks, they push war, and they push everything else on the American people. They're trying to tell us that gold's rising because of the pessimism and because, the pessimism that's taking place and people are buying into it. But the reality is that we have an economy that is on the brink and it is going down, and the interventionist policies that we see, whether it's from Obama or George Bush or from the central banks, it's clearly has failed. Which brings me kind of to another point. You're seeing other countries and how they're going to handle it as America loses more of its grip, and I think it's going to happen unless we have a new party that's able to restore this country. You see someone like Vladimir Putin. He's now they're saying he might run in 2012 in Russia. Gerald, you think that you see leadership like that? Are they ready to fill the vacuum of a world where America its role is being diminished?
Nobody will be able to fill it, and that's the danger, actually, in one sense. When you look at declines of empire and what follows after it, it's usually chaos and war. And that's what we're very concerned about. Because when this bailout bubble bursts, and it's ready to burst, the next thing they do is take you to war. From Remember the Maine to the Gulf of Tonkin to Saddam Hussein has weapons of mass destruction and ties to Al-Qaeda, they'll lie you into war in a blink of an eye. And the big guys don't like losing money. That's why they came up with this whole scam about too big to fail. Who made that one up? This is supposed to be America. You rise and fall on your own merits, unless you're one of the Harvard, Princeton, Yale guys. Then you get the free ride. But it's all collapsing. It's collapsing around us. And people are saying, as you mentioned, these pundits about gold and fear. What did they come out with today about the poverty level increasing at the fastest pace in 15 years?
1 in 7.
What is it, a quarter? 25% of all kids in this country are living below the poverty level? And you know what the poverty level is for one person? I mean, it can only make this up in the former Soviet Union, $11,000. Come on, the poverty level, $11,000. You can't make it. You can't make it. For what, 6 months, 3 months on $11,000. So this is really much more serious than they're making it out to believe. But the thing is also they're so removed from what the everyday people are going through. You go online. Look at any time one of these presidents or secretaries or this or that go to a foreign country. I love looking at the pictures, the images on Google. They always roll out a red carpet and strike up the band. You always see them around these surroundings that are fit for a king. If people want to know of a good entrepreneurial opportunity, guillotines. They're going to be really big because these people are so far removed, they don't have a clue. Hillary Clinton, Bill Clinton, the Obamas, all of these people, you think they work? All they do is they have aides and staff around them. In the old days, they used to call them serfs and slaves sucking up to them. They're so far removed. These senators and congressmen, they don't care. They are covered for life. Look at how they live. Look at the numbers. How many of them are worth well over millions of dollars? Most of them. So no, they don't know what's going on with the average person. And guess what? They could care less. They only care about getting elected.
Yeah, and that's another story we're going to be talking about today on the show, which is how corporations own Congress and how the lobbyists, it's a $1 billion business. And you're right, they don't represent we the people. They represent the corporations and the corporate interests that fund their campaigns and let them hold on to this power and control. So, Gerald, I want to just 2 more questions because I know you are a busy man. The coming war, how do you see that start? Because I agree with you. I mean, history shows us they take us to war. This is what central banks do. This is one of the reasons a central bank was even created, like the Fed. How do you see that playing out? In your recent Trends Journal, you're talking about Europe. Now, when you talk about Europe in the recent war, in the coming war, most people are like, that sounds crazy. Talk to me about that.
Not really. When you start talking to the people about in Europe, all of these very, very right-wing governments are moving in more and more. There's a huge anti-immigration backlash going on there. There's really resentment going on when you see it in the streets with Greece, and they're going to do it in Spain in a couple of weeks against these so-called austerity measures. These aren't austerity measures. That's white shoe boy language. What they're doing is they're robbing the people to pay off the banks, again, in white shoe boy language, that don't want to get haircuts. They're losing billions of dollars on bad bets that they made, and they're forcing the people to take less, earn less, and pay more in taxes to give it to the bankers. That's where you're seeing it in Europe, and you're going to see it in the Middle East. The Middle East is ready to explode again. These peace talks, there's no peace talks going on between Israel and the Palestinians. This is all a sham. It's going to end up with more war there, and they keep talking about war against Iran. So the Middle East is really the powder keg. The United States is expanding its war in Pakistan by sending in Predator drones on more than a daily basis, and we're going to start seeing some blowback in the forms of what they're going to call terrorism. Guys to me, like that grew up in the Bronx, we call it revenge. Revenge.